got my shirt on. Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, I know they don't like when I talk about him, but I gotta talk about him. Trump, let's go. It's a Trump heavy episode, and I don't care what anybody has to say about it. Sold Not For Sale podcast, episode 610. We're getting up there. Now, Meet the Press, MSNBC, they sit down with President Trump to discuss some issues. Hard interview to sit through, not because of Trump, but because anytime he starts bringing up anything of factual nature, anytime he starts talking about some real receipts that he has, some real proof that he has of the things that he's saying, right away the woman cuts him off. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. They have this, I noticed with the mainstream media, they have this way of, if you're saying something that counters the narrative, they make sure to cut you off. They say, let's move on. And then before they move on, they say the thing that is the narrative as the last word. And she's doing that throughout the whole thing. But Trump is relentless. Relentless. You're about to hear, and in this clip, you're going to hear the most gangster thing I've ever heard Trump say. The most gangster thing a politician has said, period. A president, for sure. I mean, besides Biden saying, I'm going to sleep recently. I mean, that was kind of gangster, you know, because he probably did walk 10 steps away and sat down on a chair and fell asleep. It's kind of little gangster. I'll give him credit. But other than that, you're about to hear Trump just lay it on out there. This woman has a very difficult task. Very, very difficult task. Talking to Trump and pushing the mainstream narrative while he's sitting in front of her is one of the most difficult tasks that you can give an interviewer in the media landscape. Just really, really hard. We're going to get into that. And then I got a second clip that's pretty gangster, I have to say. And it just, while I was watching the first clip that I'm going to show you, the newest one, it made me think of this clip. So it's going to be a little flashback type of clip. Before I do that, I got to bring you to the store. This is IamCoachColin.com, and this is the certified pure blood shirt for those of you that survived the pandemic unscathed, untainted. Good job. Keep your will strong. Do not give up, and push forward. Do not submit. And we have the Public Enemy #1 shirt. If you don't know about the World Economic Forum, please Google it. Agenda 2030. Please Google it. Figure out quickly why this gentleman is branded as Public Enemy #1. And we have the bold statement, the one that started it all, Sold Not For Sale. You can get all of these shirts at IamCoachColin.com. We got hoodies, tank tops for men and women, t-shirts for men and women, hoodies, even mugs, all of that. And if you want 10% off of anything you just saw and more, because there's more designs on that site, all you got to do is put in the discount code I am Coach Colin. It's all capital letters. It's all one word. There's one L in the name Colin, and that gets you 10% off on us because we appreciate you. And if you've done this already with us, we appreciate you so much. You have no idea. I can't express it enough. Let's get into the first clip. Let's go. President Trump.
The New York Times, of all institutions, did a story, and it was headlined, "Please, please, please, Mr. President, could we take a look at the documents?" And they said in the story that the only way you can get documents from a president is if you go there and say, please, because this is civil. And they won't even have a lawsuit. They may have a civil lawsuit at most, but they probably don't even have a civil lawsuit. And this should never have been an indictment. There's no criminal. Now, there is criminal for Joe Biden because he was a senator and he was a vice president.
Well, the charges you're facing don't have anything to do with the Presidential Records Act. But let me ask my question so we can get to foreign policy.
Wait a minute. This comes within the Presidential Records Act. That's what it's about.
Let me just ask these questions, and then we can move on to some other topics. You are facing 4 indictments, 91 felony charges.
If you would say it properly, I'm facing 4 Biden indictments. He told the Justice Department to indict him, or Merrick Garland said, let's indict him.
Let me ask you this, Mr. President.
They indicted their political opponent.
I just want to hear from you on this. I want to know what's in your head. When you go to bed at night, do you worry about going to jail?
No, I don't, really. I don't even think about it. I'm built a little differently, I guess, because I have had people come up to me and say,
right there, the most gangster thing you ever heard. Do you ever think about going to prison, facing up to 700 years in jail? I'm built different, I guess. Right there. You see his face right there? The glasses should come on. The joint comes, shoop, right in his mouth. La da 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 da. Most gangster thing you ever heard a politician say. Hands down, no doubt. Let's keep going.
You say, how do you do it, sir? How do you do it? I don't even think about it. These are corrupt people that I'm dealing with. They're destroying our country. I don't even think about it. All I think about is making the country great, making America great. Look, these are these are Banana Republic indictments. These are third world indictments. The President of the United States sees how we're doing. We have a movement, the likes of which has never happened in this country before. And you see it with the polls. I mean, I'm up on these people by 60 points and 59 points. I don't mean I'm at 59. I'm leading them by 59. You almost say, like, why are they campaigning? Asa Hutchinson, he's at 0. Christie's at 2. Other ones are at 1. DeSanctimonious is at 9. I just see a poll coming. I mean, I'm leading him by 60 points.
Mr. President.
And you say, why are they doing it? But here's what they did. They saw this happening. And he went to the Attorney General of the United States, and he told them, indict Trump.
There's just no evidence of that, Mr.
Why?
President.
Because you mean
but let's stay on track.
Look at all the lies he's told.
Mr. President, I want to talk
Kristen,
about
wait a
you.
minute. Wait. Could I say one thing? Look at all the lies he's told over the last couple of weeks. He said he was at the World Trade Center, and he wasn't. He said he flew airplanes, right? He didn't. He said he drove trucks, and he didn't. Everything he says is like a lie. It's terrible.
Mr. President,
even his handicap in golf, he said he's a 6. He's not a 6.
I want to stay focused on you
Okay.
for the purposes of this interview, okay? Because it's important that we hear from you about all of this.
Well, I'd like you to, but you keep interrupting me.
Tell me, Mr. President, tell me what you see when you look at your mugshot.
I see somebody that loves this country in me, that loves this country. I see tremendous unfairness. I think very few people would have been able to handle what I handled. When I was coming down the escalator with Melania, I was already under investigation because they saw how well I was doing in the polls. And it just got worse and worse. And we caught them. We said they were spying on our campaign. It turned out to be true. They had the fake dossier. That turned out to be true. It was paid for by the Democrat Party. It was all fiction. All of these things happened. Impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. I've been treated very badly, and I've won every single time. When you say, do I sleep? I sleep. I sleep because I truly feel that in the end, we're going to win. I think we're going to win an election the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. I don't think anything's going to stop it. Nothing's going to stop it because people see what's happened to our country. We're not respected in the world. Look at other countries. Look at what's happened. Everybody's going to the side of China, Russia, Saudi Arabia.
We're going to talk about that.
No,
Mr. President,
China
I want to delve into foreign
world.
policy, but let's get through this, and then I want to talk to you about all of those issues you just talked about.
Look at that face. Look at her face. She's just like, oh, God. Okay, this is what the CIA trained you for. We got this. Okay, let's get the narrative across and not let him talk while we're interviewing him. Whew, this is a tough task. We can do this. We can do this. We trained for this. Soros backed up the money truck so we could do this. Please, we got to get through this. Kidding, of course. I saw no money truck back up. I can't say that. But amazing, man. I love this interview. Usually when it comes to MSNBC, I'm like, man, I'm not going to listen to this. I don't want to hear what they do. They're usually really mean and nasty. But Trump is holding his own like never before. Do you hear what he said about the other candidates? Why are these people even running? Why are they even campaigning? Holy, that's amazing. Amazing. I'm up on these people by 50, 60 points. Jeez. He let his real New Yorker come out at that statement. I'm up on these people. What are they even doing? Send them home. Why don't they retire? Amazing. And you know what? He's right. He's right about most things that he's saying, but he keeps getting cut off. If she would just let him talk and then say, okay, what is the proof to this? What proof do you have of this? Can I see it? Can you produce it? Can you have someone go out and produce the proof while we're having this conversation and bring it back here so I can see it? But if you do that, the problem is you might actually get the proof. That's the big problem. That's the big problem. You don't want to actually get that proof. You want to have Trump in front of you, say the narrative that's been being pushed as much as you possibly can, and have that be the last word while he's sitting in front of you, because then that solidifies it, you know? And as they're doing that, it actually shows, it's like a tactic. It shows him to, in some people's eyes, to be lying, because she's saying what the narrative is. He's saying something that counters it. But anybody who's watching this, most people, shouldn't say anybody, most people, if they're watching this, if they're people who take in this NBC content often, they're going to take her word against his, of course. They're going to side with her. They're going to take in what she's saying. And they're going to look at him and say, he's crazy. He's just making things up. But as an interviewer, she's not delving deeper into the things that he's saying. Because she's not allowed to. She's not allowed to do that. It's very, very interesting. I don't know why they even decided to do this. But for somebody who's in the NBC camp, she is being more fair than most of them would be. You know, she's definitely not doing CNN lady. What's her name? Caitlin Collins. She's not doing that type of thing, that type of nastiness where you're getting real confrontational with the person. But she is doing the regular, let's cut this guy off as much as we possibly can thing, which, you know, they got to do it, I guess. You know, they're told to do it by whoever they're told to do things by. But great interview. I got some more clips that I'm going to bring to you guys. But that right there, lot of thug life moments. A lot of thug life moments in there. What do you see when you look at your mugshot? I see somebody who cares about the country. I love it. Well, what do you think he's going to say? I was sad, this, that. No. See someone who cares about the country a lot. And you know what's really true? When he talks about not like being able to sleep at night and not thinking about prison, when you're focused on this goal, like let's just say that the country is, let's just say, for the sake, hypothetical, that the country is being eroded from the inside. There's these different entities and organizations that are all responsible for it. And you know it, and you're the person that can stop it. You're not going to be thinking about prison. You're not going to be you might have trouble sleeping at night, but you're not going to be tossing and turning up at night worried about your own situation. You're only going to be worried about what you're trying to combat. So I understand completely why he's sitting there saying, I don't think about it. Because when you have a goal, I mean, we see this with people, titans of business, when they're building these huge businesses. Elon Musk sleeping under the desks at all the businesses he was building because he was just so focused. You see this all the time. You have this giant goal in front of you. You're not thinking about the pain that can possibly come. You're not thinking about the sacrifices that you're making. You're just focused on the goal because it's important. And what's more important than reviving the nation? What's more important? I mean, forget what the Biden press secretary says when she says, oh, there's the best economy ever and this and that, all these weird things where you're just like, it's like 1984 Orwellian type of stuff that she's just saying. She's just saying, 2 + 2 is 5. And the whole room of journalists have to just nod and say, okay. It's really odd. You got to ignore all that. The country needs reviving. It needs reviving. So I'm glad that he's not worried about prison. I don't think he should be. Because, there was a point brought up on one of the Rogan podcasts recently. Secret Service would have to go in with him. They probably would have the clearance to clear out the prison, or at least to give him like a whole wing where he would just be, or it would be 20 guys around him while he's in general population. He would look like a kingpin. It would be crazy. I don't know. And honestly, if you put him in there, if by chance he does go in there, you know what would happen? Do you know how many of these guys in there would identify with him? And I know you're thinking right away, well, these guys can't vote. It wouldn't matter. he'd be able to turn the mat. Like, you think his support's building in the black community and downtrodden middle class community now, working class community now. If he actually had to step foot in a prison, so many people would all of a sudden identify with him. He's already taken steps to be closer to the everyman than any billionaire or millionaire possibly could. Like, somehow, even though he's a billionaire, even though he's rich, he's elite, he still has so many middle class, working class people identify with him and his plights that he's going through. If they took it that far, he becomes the everyman. It would be, and he kind of would be, because he'd be somebody who's achieved billionaire status. He's been in prison. There'd be like nothing that this gentleman hasn't done except go to war. That'd be it. That'd be the only thing missing. So, again, great interview. Let me know what you think in the comments of what Trump was saying, everything that he has to say. Let me know what you think of their back and forth. Oh, and what was the clip that reminded me of this situation? Let me pull up the clip that this reminded me of. Let's go.
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have you not paid personal federal income tax?
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it, because the people that give her all this money, they want it. That's why. See, I understand the tax code better than anybody that's ever run for president. Hillary Clinton, and it's extremely complex, Hillary Clinton has friends that want all of these provisions, including they want the carried interest provision, which is very important to Wall Street people, but they really want the carried interest provision, which I believe Hillary's leaving. It's very interesting why she's leaving carried interest. But I will tell you that, number one, I pay tremendous numbers of taxes. I absolutely used it, and so did Warren Buffett, and so did George Soros, and so did many of the other people that Hillary is getting money from. Now, I won't mention their names because they're rich, but they're not famous, so we won't make them famous. Okay?
Can you?
It just reminded me of that for some reason. The way he's dealing with this anchor right now, this agency lady, just reminded me of that moment. Just fearless. And it goes back to the last thing that he said before I stopped the clip. Unstoppable. What he has going on is unstoppable. And I truly do think so. So anyways, guys, if you haven't liked the video already, like the video. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, because we're making 1 to 3 videos a day, and it's very hard to keep up unless you have that notification bell turned on. Other than that, I am out.